Hello, anatomy students. I am your professor, Mr. Fogle. We also have Mr. Castaneda. We will be co-teaching this entire summer via online, so do be prepared for one whirlwind of a summer, I guess you could say. What we're going to do is things a little bit different than what we normally do. We're going to try to make the information more clear-cut, straightforward, less stories, more just this is the structure, maybe some of what its function is. Really get to the nitty-gritty on how you can find it in the human body, so that way you can do as best as possible with this memorization. The videos, like I said, will be clear-cut. We're going to zoom in on different structures through our models. So yes, Mr. Castaneda and I, we will be going down to the lab weekly. We will be utilizing the models. We will be utilizing this checklist, so make sure you do obtain a digital checklist or go down to the bookstore. They are open up on the 10th now, and you can pick this up for like $2.75, and this is your, so to speak, I don't know, Bible of this lab portion of class. As I said, this is mainly structure. We're looking at to see if you can identify the item that we point at, or describe, tell us its name, or maybe tell us simply something of what it does, or some value it might have. So again, the checklist is going to be your key to all of our information here. We're learning as we go a little bit too here, so do bear with us. But like I said, we will be submitting videos every single week detailing the information for every single unit as we go. Since things are different, right, we're not going to be down in a physical lab. We don't have to do a laboratory checklist. We don't have to mess with any kind of chemicals or reagents, so on and so forth. But we're still going to teach the information and show you some of these lab experiments then too via video. Some days I'll be covering more information. Some days Mr. Castaneda will be covering more information. Some days it will be a blend of both of us. But we're going to be using this video tool, so you can always pause the video, rewind if you didn't catch something, and rehearse it over and over again. We're going to try to make it kind of simple overall, I guess you could say, just so you can find that information, memorize that information, because that's what majority of what lab is. Being able to find the structure, identify it by name, and spell it correctly. That's very important when it comes down to any kind of medical field. If you open up your table of contents, the first unit is going to cover information for body organizational and terminologies. It will cover organ systems. It'll also cover information for some histology slides and cell division. We are going to be omitting some information, or omitting, mainly because how can we use a microscope online, right? Impossible. So we're going to actually go ahead and eliminate that portion of the entire chapter altogether. But we will still cover pages 3, which is body organization and terminology, pages 4, organ systems, pages, that should be pages 4 through 6 for organ systems. We will then dive into cell structure and cell division, movement of substances across cell membranes. That'll be an online tutorial of the lab. We will then dive straight into the tissues or histology slides. And then last but not least, a little bit more in depth into our first system, which would be the integumentary system. So do be prepared. We will be posting these videos weekly. For instance, Mr. Castaneda and I have already planned to meet every single Monday to film, and we'll be meeting every single Thursday to film. So do expect videos to be available by Tuesday or Wednesday every week, and by every single Friday, no matter what, then too, for another submission. Videos really shouldn't be over half an hour long for the most part. We're trying to keep them a little bit shorter so they're easier to watch, easier to rewind, easier to load, just easier in general, I guess you could say. If at any time you have any questions, feel free to contact us via email or via our cell phone numbers, which have all already been provided via Blackboard announcements. So constantly check the Blackboard announcements first and foremost for video links and information for assignments. Some other little things I can tell you about lab. Okay, so tests are going to be a little different. I think you all know that. We're not going to be coming into the lab to meet for the exams, going through our normal system. We're going to be doing this all via online, so we will be submitting actual tests via Blackboard, and we're going to be doing those as short answer exams, mainly because in the real world, it is a short answer exam. When you are a nurse, when you are a doctor, you have to know the name. You have to be able to spell it correctly, because if you write something wrong on a patient's prescription, right, you can give them something entirely different than what you're supposed to be giving them. So this terminology, this information, the correct way we spell it, this is all crucial for ourselves as well as for us as healthcare providers helping others out there in the real world. Some other information that you might want to know for class. Okay. It's not that we demand attendance, but that we strongly recommend that you constantly attend. If you do not watch the videos, if you do not constantly study or take 15 minutes a day here and there to truly dive into the information and memorize it, it's going to be nearly impossible to pass this class with a good grade. Even when we have a regular season where the lab's open, students neglect the lab. They neglect coming down outside of lab hours that we do for just class. They don't come down and do some extra studying, which is very beneficial. Now, since you have these videos to access, this is your gold mine, so to speak. You can come on here and rewatch the videos multiple times. Pretty soon here, once IVCC's website is available again, you can go through the instructor web pages. You will be able to click on Carmen Hartford's page, and then she has pictures of every single model labeled for your access. I'm not sure if that's something we're going to have available through the bookstore or not yet. I got to do some more talking with everybody, but that is going to be one great tool for you to use. The other tool that I really recommend that you use constantly, because we will be using this in our videos, is the APR instruction. And that should come with a code, access code with your book. And Mr. Castaneda will help you work through that if you do have trouble accessing, since he is your lecture instructor. Now, do know, lecture information is completely different. Well, not completely different, but completely separate from our lecture and lab. Lab has a grade and lecture has a grade. Lab has points, lecture has points. So information may have a slight crossover, but our major focus for lecture is going to be the function with some structure versus the opposite with lab. The focus will be structure with some function. So yes, there is a little crossover. We blend them so that way you can kind of help to learn those items a little bit faster, a little bit easier by associating the two together, their function with their structure. But always refer back to this for lab. This is your lab information. Every test question comes from the lab manual lab packet. So obtain one of those as soon as possible. Now this is our introduction video, so it's a little nonchalant. We're just doing a quick welcome. Let me give you a little quick background about each of us. Mr. Castaneda has been teaching at IVCC for something like 12 years now. He is outstanding. He has great ways to help you memorize information. He knows this stuff inside and out. So he is a wealth of knowledge. I'm so happy that he has been my co-teacher and partner for these last 5 years. Mr. Castaneda actually went to school for physical therapy. He has his master's degree in physical therapy. So if you have any ailments, any questions on those things, he's your guy to go to. He knows those things. He works at St. Margaret's Hospital in the Rehabilitation Center. So you could say he practices exactly what he preaches. For myself, I am an Eastern Illinois graduate. I focused more on exercise science and sports business, but it's given me the opportunity to teach some of my favorite information here, which is the lab information for anatomy and physiology. I've done a multitude of jobs over the past, but I've been at IVCC for now 5 years, taught at a few other different colleges like Aurora and Waubonsie, but IVCC seems to be my home now. That's pretty much it for our basics of who we are. If you want to know more, right, I don't know, I guess you'll get it through these videos a little bit as we go. Other than that, if you need to contact us, you can find the syllabi via online. through the lecture class. There is no lab syllabus. Simply enough, we'll just be submitting these videos weekly, so look through the announcements, and we will sometimes ask for some kind of assignment submission. We might do like a little thread where we all just do a discussion together, just to show that we are participating, we are, so to speak, attending these online classes. But again, once we submitted the first video, if you don't feel like jumping straight on the Blackboard every time, it might hurt you. You might just go straight to the YouTube account to find our videos. Well, make sure you do always go onto the Blackboard every single week, because we might have some other special announcement on there detailing maybe a short assignment we might have for you, just for the learning aspects of this information, since it is very dense. But if there are any other questions, you do have our emails. My email, use my personal, that is fog0845@yahoo.com. Mr. Castaneda's, I do not know is at this time, but he should have submitted that through your Blackboard then as well, so you can always contact him then too directly. Any other causes of concern, go ahead and reach out. You know, we're always happy to help you maybe obtain other strategies for this online learning, since it is a little different. It might be a little harder, but in a way it may be more advantageous to stay at home and be able to access this information nonstop than for your semester, this wacky semester going on. So Unit 1, as I said, it's a really straightforward. Body organization and terminology will be covered. Organ systems, we'll go through the cell division and structures, and we'll dive straight into movement of substances for sure, our first video. Our second video is most likely going to be covering then information for tissues, which are the histology slides, and last but not least, the integumentary system. So stay linked, subscribe to our channels, and I hope you have a good summer. I hope you can enjoy this with us as much as we are learning. I guess you are learning too at the same time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.